Was that the bite of 87?
Hello everyone and welcome back to another review. This is an edgy review. Today we're looking at the 2005 set number 8737 Toa Hordika Nokama. And she is quite the interesting set. And she has quite the interesting canister. Well, here we have the top. I already dropped it. And you can see the shape of the whole canister is very weird. It's oval. And to me it kind of looks like an eye or something. I don't know. It's kind of weird. It has these strange ridges. It's gunmetal gray and dark blue. The cap depends on which figure you get. You can see it has stickers describing action features with kind of exaggerated things. 50 feet, it says the Hordika can launch. We all know they're lying about that. Length. And the top can actually hold the Hordika, which I think is pretty cool. Unfortunately, there's no lid. Even when you bought these things fresh, they didn't have any lid or anything. I think that's kind of dumb and really symbolizes the Hordika as a whole, you know. Almost none of them can be held in place. They always fall off. The way you take the lid off on this one is quite interesting. You have to spin it a billion trillion times, and it can be quite frustrating. I mean, as frustrating as spinning a plastic lid 180 degrees can be, which is not very. And she does have 48 pieces, FYI, which is more than I thought. I got her at the flea market for super cheap. I also got Metroid Prime 3. This is thanks to Mosby's Bionicles and more. You can check him out on Bricklink. I'll put a link in the description below. He seemed like a very nice guy, and he was selling these for super cheap. Here's the instruction manual, and it's kind of a boring one, I'm gonna be honest. The background is just kind of stripy, and then towards the back, I think this is the most interesting part. Alright, let's see. Always gotta love the catalog. Alright, here we are. As you can see, this is the final page, and it shows how to use the action features. And if we flip to the next page, it shows all of the Hordika. Man, ugly things, ugly things. But then on the next page, it has the Vaki, which I think is kind of weird, seeing as it came out the year before. And then here we have the the whatever. You know what they are. We all know. And then the Titans for 2004. I have all of those. I love them very much. And why don't we start building? Here's a close look at the weird pieces. Alright, let's get building. And we are done. And it was a slightly longer build than I thought. I don't know why. Just the camera was fighting me a little bit. And it's a pretty simple build. You can see it's very holy and very 2005 Bionicle. We could talk about articulation real quick. The feet are super weird, and they look like flippers. They're very thick. They can bend back and forth, and yeah, they're okay. I just realized I actually misbuilt the foot, which is kind of funny because it's only 3 pieces. Let's just flip that around. We all make mistakes, even professionals like myself. Alright, so yeah, clown shoes, kind of weird. I'm not a huge fan of them, and I do think the redesign of these feet is a lot better, the ones with the webs. The knees are pretty good. The bend at the knee is only about 90. It can go a little bit over, but I think it's pretty good for like some epic jumping poses. And these figures were seen jumping quite a bit. Jumping around, being spastic and all edgy like, with rock and roll in the background. Alright, anyway, enough reminiscing. And then, alright. What's next on the articulation thing? I'm having too much fun posing this. Alright, and we can see that the neck articulation is pretty out there. The whole head design is just kind of bizarre. I forgot to talk about the thighs. They're very standard. They can splay out and twist around. But yeah, the neck it's not too limited. It's more posable than it looks, as you can see. But again, it's a weird build. It doesn't actually have a skull. It's just an arm or a hand, basically, with eyes. It's very mock feeling, I guess. This kind of feels like a really bizarre. This feels like a prototype figure, honestly, like a proof of concept. It's such a weird figure, and the fact that it's so asymmetrical as well. I mean, here's this arm. You can see it's fairly posable, but then you have this arm, which is just totally different. It's built totally differently, and it has about the same amount of articulation, except it has an elbow. I don't know why it's not symmetrical. And as you can see, there's a kind of weak sauce gear feature tied to it. And yeah, it's okay. This is the last gear feature in one of these smaller canister sets, and it's pretty disappointing, not gonna lie. It's just kind of boring. I mean, look at that. It just doesn't have much motion, and it's far less impressive than prior action features. Oh yeah, and I haven't really talked about the weapons. They're molded from two different types of plastic. You can see this top half, which is silver, is kind of rubbery and bendy, and then the dark blue or navy blue or metro blue is a hard plastic. Alright, now why don't we talk about the dreaded Ratuka spinner. And here's mine. You can see it has a code. And, well, actually not. We'll use the one that doesn't have a code. And, oh boy, these things are something else. You can see they fall off with little to no effort. And they work okay. You do have to take this ripcord, which is just a gear train with a handle, basically. And you have to stab your figure with it. And it looks pretty uggo, as you can see. I would not pose them like this. And one thing that's nice is she has like a mouth hole for it. Kind of interesting. And these do fire rather well. The force is very uneven, and these things will oftentimes strafe to the right. And they're very roly-poly. Let me try and get a better angle, because they do fly rather far. I don't know about 50 feet or whatever, but they can be quite powerful. So why don't we just rip it, and it's out of here. So why don't we reset, because it just fell into the gutter of my review station. Alright, hopefully this time it's better. Nope. Alright, you gotta commit. I'm not committing to it. I gotta believe in the heart of the cards. Why don't we get another Ratuka? And just sometimes you gotta get wild. That time you can see it didn't even really leave. It just kind of rolled off. Alright, so after retrieving, you grab it, you put it back in, and this time we're gonna commit, okay? Because I'm really not doing it justice. It's kind of wild. You can't even see it. I'm trying to launch it right now. Hopefully, okay, I'll aim better. There we go. You can see anytime it hits anything, it totally just explodes. It just kind of starts rolling and generally messes up. It's quite frustrating. And hey, we got it. Excellent. Kind of a blink and you miss it moment right there. But it was there for a second, I promise. It's kind of hard to show this off. Maybe I'll do another video in the future showing it off a little bit better, because you have to have the proper setup. Filming this outside wouldn't help too much either, because these things don't like the elements either. I just said either a lot. Anyways, it's an okay action feature. I think they did much better with Ninjago in 2015. But this was still a good attempt. I definitely think it fails in a lot of places. Like how it constantly falls off, and only, I think, 3 figures solve that. And it just doesn't work super well unless you're in, like, perfect conditions. You have to rip the heck out of it. You really have to commit. You really have to be aggressive. And it's not super worth it. It doesn't have a lot of wow factor. It just is kind of like a flash, and then it hits something, and then it just kind of rolls. These things are so easy to lose because they're so roly-poly. If you hit anything like a wall, if you hit a wall, it will fall to the ground, but still keep its spin rotation force, and then just roll like a car. It'll just go soaring as soon as it touches the ground, which is very, very frustrating in my opinion. And in many ways, I feel like that actually permanently the figure, which is a blessing. Like, it's kind of a cool idea, but the execution is just not great. I honestly am not disappointed. It's a little bit cooler than I thought. It looks better. It's a kind of striking figure because it looks so much different than other Bionicle figures, especially comparing it to the early stuff and the later stuff, like the Glatorians. Like, putting this thing next to a Glatorian, it really stands out. It does kind of blend in with the Vaki and stuff a little bit, but I mean, that's not really an issue. So in that way, it's kind of, I would say, refreshing. It's an interesting build. It's a different build. It's a very simple build, very easy, but it's something mildly different. And it's, yeah, different. That's how I would describe it. And my biggest gripe, by far, is the asymmetricality. I think it's painful. Literally nothing on the figure, besides the arm, is asymmetrical. I don't get it. It drives me crazy. I can't help but think it's for budgetary reasons. Like, I hope at one point they were going to make it symmetrical, but it just made the piece count too high or something. I feel like that's kind of unreasonable, seeing as they kind of bumped up the piece count and just sheer plastic count for future sets that are around the same price. Yeah, that's just, it's weird to me. It doesn't make sense. These things are supposed to be like beasts, I guess, but the one arm is just stupid, and it's like a Toa Mata arm, and it just looks flimsy and out of place. And then the other arm is this really weird hulking geared up arm. I don't know. I personally really dislike it, and I feel like they could have done that a lot better. One pro to that is we do get recolors of the Toa Mata arms in the edgy 2004 colors, which is very, very nice. And yeah, all in all, kind of a mixed bag of a figure. A lot of people absolutely despise these things, and I can see why. And some people kind of like these things, which I can also see why. It's an unbalanced figure. Again, I feel like the Rotuka and the asymmetrical arms really encapsulates it. And yeah, price, I guess. Originally it was like $9 or $10, 2005, which I feel like is a little pricey, not gonna lie. But because these things weren't popular, the resale price is dirt cheap. Like, I got this for $10 in good condition with the box and instructions from your boy Mosby, and I think that's a good price. I would recommend it for that price. I would not recommend paying like $30 for this. But that's all I have to say, so peace out.